Me and Snoop had our little issue.
Eminem and Snoop Dogg are two unique voices in hip-hop who have had remarkable careers. Between the two of them, they've sold over 250 million albums, with over 220 million albums being sold by Eminem. But all of that fame and success apparently still isn't enough to keep two people from having beef, even when they're at the top of their game. What's been happening between these two is honestly insane. It all goes back to the year 2000. This was when Eminem was recording the Marshall Mathers LP. He revealed in an interview that there was some miscommunication at the time about Snoop Dogg supposedly being on one of his songs. It was B-Word Please 2, which also featured Dr. Dre and Exhibit. According to Eminem, Snoop wanted to do a feature on the song with him in return for being on Eminem's album, and Eminem's longtime manager Paul Rosenberg told him that he'd need to hear how the song sounded first. As far as Snoop was concerned, this meant that Eminem wasn't a big fan of his, because you shouldn't have to hear a Snoop song to know what you're getting. I mean, he'd been making hugely popular music for nearly a decade at that point, so I get where he was coming from with that. But Snoop got the wrong idea entirely about Eminem, because he was in fact a huge fan of Snoop and greatly respected him. Eminem said that the Doggy Style album that came out in 1993 pretty much changed his life forever. Eminem said he'd always looked up to Snoop, and that this one comment his manager had made, which unfortunately got misinterpreted, had nothing to do with the love he had for Snoop Dogg. You'd think that a simple misunderstanding like this could be solved pretty easily, but unfortunately, that wasn't the end of the feud between the two rap icons. In July 2020, Snoop sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community when he made a list of his top 10 rappers of all time. Eminem was noticeably absent. The whole thing would have probably fizzled out eventually, but Snoop added fuel to the fire when he got interviewed about his picks by the Breakfast Club. Snoop basically gave Dr. Dre all the credit for Eminem's success, completely overlooking his massive talent and determination to be where he is today. Snoop said that Dr. Dre put Eminem in the position where he could be in the top 10 greatest rappers ever conversation. Snoop said that a lot of people had reached out to him, surprised that he didn't list Eminem as a top 10 lyricist. But Snoop said again that it was only because Eminem was next to Dr. Dre that he was even being considered to be in that league. He really gave all the credit for Eminem's career as being one of the best-selling artists of all time to Dr. Dre, and he went on to mention a whole list of artists he thought were more deserving of a top 10 spot than Eminem. This included people like Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, LL Cool J, and Ice Cube. He said that Eminem couldn't touch any of them. Then, in December 2020, Eminem finally responded to all of this drama, and he did it in the most Eminem way possible. He dropped the deluxe edition of his latest album at the time, and he rapped about the beef on the track Zeus. He said in his lyrics that as far as squashing beef like this, he was used to people throwing jabs at him, but what made this worse was that it was seeming to be coming from someone in his own camp and from someone he considered to be on his team. Eminem said that he was trying to be diplomatic about it, but the last thing he ever wanted or needed was to be hearing something diminishing from Snoop Dogg, especially because he idolized Snoop and his career for so long. Eminem went on to question why he ever looked up to him in the first place, and that maybe he wasn't the great guy he worshipped, but instead just another jealous hater who was mad at his success. Eminem wasn't lying in his lyrics when he said that he was trying to be diplomatic, because not long after Zeus came out, he further clarified his comments and articulated how he felt about the whole situation, and his response was a lot more measured and calmer than you might expect. During a New Year's Eve interview on his Shade 45 radio station, Eminem revealed that he wasn't even mad about what Snoop had said. As a matter of fact, he was cool with most of it. He said that up until a point, Eminem agreed with what Snoop was saying about his career. Eminem acknowledged that Dr. Dre was absolutely pivotal to his success, and that Snoop was spot on when he said that Dr. Dre made the best Eminem version there could be. Eminem went on to say in no uncertain terms that without Dr. Dre, he wouldn't be anywhere near what he was today. Eminem also agreed with Snoop about something else, and that was the long list of rappers that Eminem supposedly can't touch. Eminem referenced all those old school legends and said that he never claimed to be in their league, so for Snoop to say he couldn't be on their level was fine. Eminem had never really claimed otherwise. However, there was a point where Snoop's criticisms got disrespectful where Eminem drew the line. Snoop said that he could definitely live without Eminem's catalog. Eminem said that that level of disrespect, which seemingly came out of nowhere, really caught him off guard. But Snoop fanned the flames of it all when someone on his Instagram asked if he would respond to Zeus. Snoop called Eminem's diss soft and told people to pray that he doesn't answer. After that, the beef between the two artists simmered all the way up into 2021 when Snoop finally squashed it. He said that he picked up the phone and made a call to Eminem to apologize. He said that he was wrong for what he said and he apologized. Then he asked for Eminem's forgiveness. Snoop said that the two of them really do love each other and they never want the public to spin something into something bigger than it is, which is apparently what happened with this situation. Snoop added that they they both have a ton of respect for each other, so they wanted to find some common ground behind closed doors instead of on diss tracks and on social media comments. He said that it was just like with real siblings and family members sometimes. There will be arguments or misunderstandings, but you always respect each other and each other's opinions. And as long as that basis of respect is there, you can always forgive and move on, which fortunately is what Eminem wanted to do in this situation as well. But the real reason they both decided to put the unpleasantries behind them is pretty insane, and not even really related to their beef at all, at least not directly. Around that time, Dr. Dre suffered a sudden aneurysm that left him very close to passing. This suddenly put everything in perspective, and Eminem and Snoop were able to realize how precious life was and how stupid it was to spend any of it on fighting, especially with someone you love and respect. And it's a good thing they were able to come to that conclusion, even if it was because of a horrible event in Dr. Dre's life. Since then, they've done incredible things together, including performing at the Super Bowl halftime show with Dr. Dre, who is thankfully healthy and back on his feet again. Anyway, what do you guys think about all of this? Was Snoop being disrespectful? Should Eminem have made that diss track? Let me know in the comments below.